Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm making this short video to address some new info Pablo has given us about the new shield changes upcoming later today with Abyss of Dagath's update. Now you might be wondering, oh no, nerfs already? I think I'm gonna open this up by calling pre-release info nerfs. If something is adjusted up or down before it ever releases into live servers, that is not a nerf. That's called a balance patch. Whether it is beneficial or not is a completely different matter, which is what we will address next, but how people constantly preemptively call things nerfs before we even receive them to start with is unhealthy. I get that creators are probably the most guilty of this due to, well, those that do this full-time require channel traffic to succeed, but at least know why creators do this. Instead of bandwagoning on the premise of it being a quote-unquote nerf, remember that it is better to address why the balance changes are bad versus good, pros versus cons, etc. Just outright calling something a nerf with no context of suggestions of substance on pre-release info does not help, beside makes things look bad in general, which solves nothing. Is it hypocritical I headlined the video with that title? Absolutely. But did it get you to click and listen to this as the very first thing in the video on why thinking caps are needed? I bet it did too. Okay, let's get into the meat of this video. Pablo recently put out a tweet addressing whether or not Overshield will address shield gating duration post-Dagath update. He states that once Dagath drops, Overshield will be counted towards shield gate duration, but that this is not intended and will require a future cert build to fix. In other words, Overshields are not meant to affect shield gate duration post-Dagath. Cert builds typically take 1 to 2 months to deploy, so enjoy your shield gate duration for the time being. But I'm letting you know that DE's current stance is this being removed in the future. About why Overshields and why this is a controversial topic. Overshield allows you to regain 1,000 to 200 higher shield than your modded maximum, or 2,400 higher in the case of Harrow. On current patch, or pre-update Dagath, shield gate duration is an all-or-nothing situation. You reach 100% of your modded shield value for a 1.3 seconds shield gate, or fail to do so and the next time it breaks you only get 0.33 seconds. Post-Dagath, shield gate is always at least 0.33, up to 2.5 seconds at 1,150 shields. Since pre-update, shield gate was based on max shields instead of overshields, so it didn't really matter if overshields affected shield gate or not. But post-update, shield gate is based on the absolute raw shield value instead. DE probably saw the responses of players post-dev stream about the shield changes and also remembered the Pillage Helminth era, as well as how Condemn was universally praised post-Hero rework. Their goal is most likely to prevent Pillage and Condemn from becoming the universal survivability Helminth's chase for harder content, due to them easily generating max overshields for 2.5 seconds shield gate and full status cleanse on Pillage, or massive crowd control on Condemn. Now, this is fine, but there is a bigger problem. Shields fundamentally play a much bigger role as part of Warframes than the Helminth system. The fact that they're intrinsically tied to the shield gate system implies that Warframes benefit more from shields than the Helminth system benefiting from shields. There are entire Warframes designed around shields and overshields, namely Harrow and Mag. CALIBAN 2 for that matter, which we even recently released a shield-oriented build for post-update. It's ironic that frames specifically designed around shields require you to mod for more shields to benefit from an update that's meant to help shields, when said frames can already spawn your infinite amount of shields from thin air. Yes, it's doable, but does it make sense to restrict frames whose entire purpose is shields to start with in this way? That doesn't make sense to me. There's also one other point. A likely reason to implement this restriction is because giving any frame 2.5 seconds of iframes on demand with these Helminths seems too much. The other thing to consider is that using Condemn or Pillage this way is akin to old school shield gate setups that we currently use already. The only time the 2.5 seconds shield gate is a real difference maker is content where getting hit on health equals death. That's endurance content. Outside of that, it doesn't really make a difference that you have 1.3 seconds or 2.5 seconds shield gate, when you already regenerated all shields, have full armor strip or absolute crowd control from Pillage or Condemn, and still have many other tools at your disposal for survival or destruction in endurance. Condemn and Pillage are just another part of the puzzle. For a game that never really cared about endurance balancing, it's surprising. What also matters is that for endurance, if you didn't use Pillage or Condemn on a build before, you probably still won't for that particular build after the update. Endurance builds are usually built with a specific purpose in rotation or mechanic in mind, and more iframes is rarely the decision maker. When we already have tools like Invisibility, Vazarin Dash, which is by the way 5 seconds to start with, notwithstanding the shield recharge delay mechanics and buffs that I discussed in my recent video, Arcane Aegis, and complete invulnerability abilities like Mesmer Skin, Iron Skin, Rolling Guard, Zephyr's Turbulence, Meg's Magnetize, etc. The list goes on. There are many more parts of an endurance loadout than just raw iframes, and it's only an extra 1.2 seconds from the shield gate system post-update. Is that really something to remove an entire interaction over, when there are frames that revolve entirely around shield generation to start with? This also disfavors people from experimenting with shield stacking to begin with, which was not really a thing pre-update outside of shield frames, capacitance vault, etc. due to their fragility and limited benefits. Now it costs an extra mod slot to do so if the overshield changes go through, mandating redirection slotting. And also mental gymnastics on how to generate the shields or absolutely requiring Pillage or Condemn, just to get 1.2 seconds more shield gate with no other bonuses. The Helminth slot is valuable, more valuable than many think. You can already get the base 1.33 seconds shield gate by slotting catalyzing shields and using any kind of old school shield gate build, leaving your Helminth slot free. Instead of limiting overshield builds like this, as I said in my original shield gating video over half a year ago, we should instead be looking at how health tanking currently works and buffing it by making it more relevant and parity to shields. Many other creators have already discussed this prior, with the most common basic solutions being lower 90 and 95% damage reduction abilities to 50 to 60% only, but increase the raw HP value of frames by 5 times, or lower enemy damage by 5 times, so that HP tanking in and of itself is less reliant on spamming damage reduction sources. While this does not fix the level 9k issue, since that is where you stack multiple 90% damage reduction sources if you want to meme with HP endurance setups, it will fix the level 1000 levels, where anything that does not innately have 90% damage reduction, combined with strong armor scaling and other sources, instantly gets one shot like paper when hit on HP. Then you can go into more, well, adventurous options like reworking enemy AI and scaling and whatnot. But also, please do flatten the damage curve of enemies. It's the primary reason why people resort to shield gating for endurance. I don't mind level 9000 enemies one-shotting, but level 500 enemies regularly one-shotting standard tank builds is rather absurd these days when you encounter those levels extremely quickly in circuit, and literally any Zeraman game mode within the first 30 minutes. Besides, well, Armageddon, which we don't talk about because that's a game mode that also needs a rework. In the end, if the purpose of the Overshield changes is to lower player power and maintain difficulty, there are much bigger issues in play I would prefer confirmed efforts being made towards, such as improved enemy AI, mission complexity and diversity, more interactive and complicated bosses like the ones released in the past years or two as a baseline. If that is the future, then kudos to you, DE, but if not so, then I really feel this is a step backwards, and it does more harm than good by preventing shield-oriented frames from benefiting off a shields update, without extra investment that they never required, just to bring down the power level of two Helminths that already no longer hold universal sway over build decisions in current Buildcraft. Pillage had its spotlights years ago, and going from 1.3 seconds to 2.5 shield gate at the cost of your Helminth slot is very little power creep in practice and is undoubtedly, I don't think, going to have long-lasting power on shifting up the Helminth scene, besides just a 1 or 2 month creator showcase. Please reconsider. We already have things like Breach Surge, Muzzle Flash, and Radio Blind for massive crowd control that either buffs damage, goes through walls and scales off kills, or has absurd base range with finisher buffing augments. Cheers. If this is your first time watching, feel free to leave a like or better yet subscribe. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. 79.5% of you are not subscribed. I'm trying my best to get you new information out always, as soon as possible, like I've been doing with the Shield reworks, Abyss Dagath update, and more. Stick around if you want to see interesting memes and builds on a nearly daily basis. Don't want to miss out on any of that, do you? That'll be it for this video. Thank you all for watching, and see you all next time.